Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Happy Friday, July 22nd. Yes, it is time for another store review. But first, I just want to mention, guys, I hope you are staying safe out there. I can't tell you the number of people in my inner circle of friends, acquaintances, co-workers that are coming down with COVID. Many of them for the second or third time. So, guys, just stay safe out there. Also, I've been playing a lot more on my EU account, which is brand new, 500 battles, and it's given me a different perspective on the game. As someone that's been playing for 6+ years, 7 years now, uh, I've kind of lost perspective, I think. 494 tanks, I think that makes me the perfect person to give you my insight into the store and the tanks and the value and whether or not you're going to play them. But I often lose track of the fact that I have every tech tree tank. I have lost what it's like to feel that grind and that pain of having to play that tank over and over and over again in order to progress up. So I want to kind of incorporate that into my store reviews, as well as do a couple of videos on how to maximize your energy in the game to make you progress faster. So look for those videos coming up shortly. But let's do the store review. We've got gold box, so it just changed over. We've got a new object 274A, which we'll talk about here in a second. But pull up the gold box here. As you can see, I haven't been playing a lot. I haven't even filled this up yet. If you've got the 7.5K, or I think there's a 16K for like $15 or something, this is one of your best deals for gold per dollar. And that's what really this game is all about, is the currency, and gold is king, obviously. So we'll jump into the store, and before we start talking about the 274A, I do want to point out the subscription for gold. This is a 14-day subscription, which means if you purchase it for $3, you have to commit yourself to being able to log into the game every day for the next 14 days. If you miss a day, you don't get the rewards for that day. And the daily prize is 250 gold and 1,000 free XP. That equates to 3,500 gold and 14,000 free XP, which, as a person that's now grinding again, I realize the importance there of that free XP. Works out to be 1,166 gold per dollar. This is one of the best deals out there if you can log into the game once a day and get your rewards. You don't even have to play. Just come in, collect it, and log back out if you want. But $3 for all of that is one of the best deals. We're going to talk about the super container collection here. If you like opening crates, this is the bundle for you, because essentially what you're going to get is 20 different crates, and each crate has a chance for a different tank with a different drop chance. So again, this is pure gambling. I don't recommend it, but what I wanted to point out with this is that I noticed that they've changed out a lot of these tanks. So we've got the Type 57, which is a relatively new tank to the game, the Skoda T56, the Object 752, the 268 V4. These are relatively new. The Lanson tanks that have come into the game kind of recently, and they've put them into crates. So while we've seen this container super collection many times over, the tanks have changed. So just wanted to point that out. I talked about it last week, this great choice. I like this little bundle here. Yes, you're only getting 4,000 gold for $15, but you are guaranteeing yourself a tank with this mystery certificate. Yes, the list is long, but you've got quite a few tier 10 options here. As we scroll down, we'll notice that it does go all the way down to, I believe, tier 5. So there is a chance, your mystery certificate gets you a tier 5. Apparently, It should be about the same percentage here for all of the bottom tier tanks. You can see, all right, so it does jump up a little bit. You've got a 1% chance of these tier 5s. There's some tier 6 at a 1.1% chance of getting them dropped. The Gravedigger and Smasher are at 0.6%, as are most of the other tier 7s. And let's just see here. What are the tier 10s? 1.39% chance. So you do have a chance of pulling a tier 10 tank out of this $15 certificate, which would be a great deal. And you're getting all of these attachments and 3 mega containers with a 5% drop chance of a tank inside of it. So kind of a fun little bundle there, I thought, for $15. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the Object 274A. We'll talk about that in a second. Wanted to just quickly touch on the Bat Chat. Maybe we should just scroll down to the tank section. I'm not going to talk about the Battle Pass as we are almost over. So let's get through the resources and then we'll talk tanks. All right. So again, looking at it from a slightly different perspective of a person that's newer to the game, these bundles here can be enticing. Yes, it's nice to be able to get additional XP and free XP and crew XP, but I would say this is not where you should be spending your money. If you want to spend your money on something extra outside of gold and premium time, I would recommend the 5x boosters. And why is that? Well, let's face it. You get a 2x booster for your first win of the day. That resets twice a day. So basically what that means is you get twice the amount of experience points for your battle. Now, a 5x booster gives you 5 times that. So winning one battle with a 5x booster is like winning 5 battles with no boosters, or 2.5 with a 2 times. So you get the idea there. What you need to be careful when you buy these boosters is that there's no way to turn them on or off or use them only for a specific tank unless it says it's for a specific tank. This says it's for tier 8s. So if you're going to play any tier 8, whether it be a collector, a premium, or a tank you're grinding, you're going to use up that 5x booster. And really what you want to use these 5x boosters for is your tech tree tanks to cut down on the amount of time that it takes you to grind up the tech tree, right? So again, we've got another bundle here that might be enticing to a newer player. You're only getting 375 gold per dollar, but someone might say, 15 million gold, that can buy me several new tech tree tanks. Well, I would rather see you get 75,000 gold for $100 and use that 3,700, half of it, to buy you 3-4 premium tanks, and you can then use those premium tanks to earn 15 million gold rather quickly, and then you still have those tanks in your garage, and anytime you need to grind credits, you pull out those premium tanks. So just keep that in mind. Don't fall for buying the boosters or the silver, I would say, as my overall recommendation. And again, don't be converting gold into silver. So here we have some more 5x boosters. And, on my Reroll EU account, I went ahead and bought these because it really cuts down on the amount of time that it takes to grind. But you have to be very careful and selective as to what tank you're playing and when you're playing it. So like this one here can be used for any tanks. Be used for a tier 4, tier 5, whatever tank. You're going to use up 25 of these for the next 25 battles you go into. You're going to use those up, and you can't turn it on, can't turn it off. It is just the next 25 tanks. So this works out, to be about, 120 gold. It works out to be about 30 cents, 40 cents, somewhere in there, if my math is right, doing it in my head real quickly, per battle, right? So, yeah, it does come with a cost, but it cuts down on the amount of time that you have to keep playing those battles. All right, now we're getting into the tanks, and I still haven't forgotten about the new Soviet medium. I am not happy with the store right now, guys. So let's talk about this. We've got the Turtle Mark 1, Tier 8 British tank destroyer. As you might expect, yes, it is rather slow. Got great armor, pretty good gun on it. But what I like about it, it doesn't have that ginormous hatch that all of those AT tanks have that are impossible to hide and everyone just shoots. So if you like slow, really well armored tanks, this is a good tank. I am not a big fan of it just because of its lack of mobility. Again, with the meta on Blitz these days, sometimes you're just getting into a place where you can start shooting, and you might have already lost one or two teammates because, well, that's the way Blitz is right now. So again, this tank is very team dependent. So lack of mobility makes it difficult to carry battles in this tank, but it is a nice, fun tank destroyer under the right circumstances. The STG, this is a very difficult tank to play. Uh, let's see if I scroll down here. 5 degrees of gun depression with this rear mounted, very low profile of a tank. It does have some interesting, unique armor profile. It's got a big gun on it. What was it? So it's doing 400 average damage per shot. And it's got the speed of a medium tank. But again, that 5 degrees of gun depression makes this very difficult to play. I would suggest this only be for collectors. It's not, to me, a tank that's going to carry because it's very limited on the map as to where you can be effective with a 5 degree low profile tank like this. So just be aware of that. Although you can see it's to me it's interesting because I think both of these tanks probably came out very similar in time frame, and you can see how much more this one has dropped in price. I don't think it sells quite as well. You can buy those two in a bundle together. Again, that's two tanks that I'm not big high on. So we talked about last week the AMX M4. French tank destroyer. French heavy tank is really great if you can kind of bully other tanks with it, get in their face. You've got great frontal armor, but the side armor, really nothing to write home about. Not my favorite heavy tank by far. It's just big. It's got big flat surfaces, and so that makes it challenging to play. The 5X boosters, when you're looking at these deals, make sure this only applies to that tank. So those boosters, they are not as beneficial. Bat chat. Bourrasque here. I love this tank. The price, I think, is still high at 12,500. But you have a very mobile tank with a 2-shot auto loader. And what makes this tank different from the other auto loading French light slash medium, this one is actually classified as a medium tank, is that you've got 320 average damage, whereas most of those other tanks are in the 120, 160 range per damage, and you've got 3 or 4 shots. This is 640 damage in 2 shots, 2 seconds between those 2 shots. So you can use your speed to get into a position where you're going to guarantee yourself 2 shots land, 640 damage in 2 seconds, and then you can get out of there and reload that 18.5 second reload. So I do like the damage number on this tank here, which makes it a lot more interesting to play than excuse me, than those lights. You can see 60 kilometers per hour and 23 in reverse. So really fun little tank there. M4 A1. I love this tank. It does not sit up there as a tier 8 top premium tank, but it's pretty close. Uh, the mobility is good, but what I like about it is that sweet spot of, I guess you could put it in your damage per minute number, but it's not a huge gun that if you miss, you're penalized by a really long reload. And it's not a small gun that puts you on target having to be exposed while you shoot repeatedly. 350 average damage on this gun. Good mobility. Nice little armor on it. You know, it's a medium. It's not going to bounce much. But it's a pretty fun tank. 7,000 gold, I would say that is a reasonable price for this tank. We mentioned last week that if you've used up your 2x bonuses here, you can use the web address for the store, and those 2x bonuses will be available there. And we can now get into the Object 274A. Only a 4% drop chance, guys. There's no charms here, so it's 4% until you get it. But interested to see what you think about this tank. 130 millimeters of frontal armor, I believe. Oh, 160. 100 on this rounded turret here, which makes it pretty high as far as the mediums go. The damage per minute number right here close to 1900 is on the low side. You're going to see 22s for most mediums, so I expect this armor profile to be able to withstand a few more shots because of that lower DPM number. You've got 185 and 240 as pen, 310 and 270 as your damage per shot. 7 degrees of gun depression, 55 forward, 20 reverse. So this looks like it could be quite an interesting tank. It's got a big old turret there, but excuse me. Let me know if you get it. I am going to stay away from this. I am not gambling on crates. But we'll wait for it to come back for store. We know it will. It's the way Blitz works. So with that, guys, I hope you're having fun again and stay safe out there. And remember, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.